Welcome to Stormwater Drainage Solutions. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about why we use so much 6-inch pipe when we build our yard drainage systems. Now, the beginning of this video, I'm going to be just showing you just some flooding here on a Florida thunderstorm that lasted roughly 45 minutes to an hour in this particular area that we work in. So obviously, 6-inch pipe is not going to keep up with anything like this. And this is in the roadways where all the runoff water goes to. But I just want you to get an idea on how much water we get dumped on us in a short amount of time. And I want you to have this visual in your mind before we start this video. Now, in this video, we are going to be installing a 6-inch catch basin and downspout drainage system around this property here. This entire system is going to be 6-inch. We're going to be using PVC SDR 35, that's the green sewer pipe, and the downspouts that we are connecting to are all 4x5 gutter downspouts. Now, this roof picks up a tremendous amount of water all the way around, and it has 4 downspouts to handle all of this runoff water. So the reason the gutter company put those 4x5 gutter downspouts, which we like to refer to those as super downspouts, is because the gutter company knows how much water these downspouts are going to have to handle in our heavy Florida thunderstorms. And that's not including tropical storms and hurricanes. So that's 2 separate types of storms right there. So because the gutter guys know that those downspouts are going to be responsible for giving off a ton of water when it counts, the drainage system that gets installed and gets connected to those downspouts ultimately has to be responsible for handling that bulk water that gets dumped onto the roof, carried into the gutter troughs, and ultimately goes down the gutter pipe and ends up in our drainage system. Now, there's also going to be a lot of residual runoff water on this particular property. The neighbor's yards drain into this client's property. So that's why we're putting all these 12x12 catch basins and we're running them in line with our 6-inch pipe. The reason we are using 6-inch pipe, obviously, is to be able to handle the bulk of the water that gets dumped. We're not worried about moderate rains. We're not worried about light rains. We're not worried about drizzles. We're worried about those heavy thunderstorms when a lot of water gets dumped all at once. That's what creates the problems. That's what creates the flooding. And I can tell you right now, from installing drainage systems for the last 11 years in this state, that is what creates the callbacks for the drainage companies that undersize their systems. So you can probably get away with undersizing your system for a couple of years, but I promise you, if you stay in this business, it will catch up to you eventually, because it's happened to me, because none of us are perfect and we all have to learn. So I learned that undersizing your system is not a good idea here in Florida. You're better off oversizing that pipe so that it can handle a tremendous amount of water when it counts, so you can avoid the callbacks. So another thing to keep in mind here, why do you want to max out the pipe 100%? If you max out the pipe 100%, water fills all the way to the top and then there is no more area in there. Ideally, I would almost argue that you want some area at the top of the pipe to help airflow go through there as water's moving. So that is another thing to keep in mind that I have thought about, that you almost don't want the pipe getting maxed out completely because you want that airflow above the water in the system. Now, I mean, granted, if you have a bunch of catch basins like we do here, connected to the system, it's still going to allow airflow into it. But maybe, just maybe, if this system is completely maxed out and underwater, the airflow really isn't going to get in there that well. So ultimately, I know that if I build the system bigger, it's going to handle that water and it's going to move it out of the property faster so that there's not a bunch of pooling going on while the storm is taking place. Now, there's going to be those events that you just cannot get away from and you cannot avoid, and every system has its tolerances and can get maxed out. So that just kind of, it is what it is. But I can at least try to oversize the system so that it can handle and keep up with the rain events that we get here. But keeping that in mind, every system can technically get maxed out. Even large storm infrastructure on roadways and highways gets maxed out at a certain point, and it has to catch up once the rains have started to die down. So another thing, I want clients and DIYers and anybody that is looking into having a drainage system either installed or they're going to install it themselves, I implore you to reach out to engineers in your area and talk with them. Ask them and pick their brain and see what they tell you with pipe size. Because I can tell you this, the engineers that I've talked to here in Florida, they all say the same thing. They say, yeah, it's better to go bigger than smaller. And a lot of them say, oh, if you're running more than 2 downspouts, it doesn't matter, you need to bump it up to a 6-inch, which I can see that in some cases. In other cases, depending on the size of the roof and the gutter troughs, I don't really think it's necessary, but hey, they would rather be safe than sorry. So I would really suggest that you talk to your own engineer and you find out and see what he has to say. Don't listen to all the drainage guys on YouTube, including me. Don't listen to any of us. Do additional research for yourself and then come to your own conclusion in whatever state that you're in. So you can see here, we're going to go ahead and just catch this AC drip line. We're going to use 4-inch pipe for it. And the reason we always just use 4-inch pipe for the AC drip line is because all it does is just add an extra vent to the system to allow more airflow to get into that system. So we're just going to add it on a T here. I mean, it's a low flow with that AC just dripping, so it doesn't need to be wide in. A T is just fine for that. Guys, our goal is to ultimately build systems that can keep up with these heavy Florida storms that we get for our clients. That way, the pipe doesn't get maxed out and the yard and everything else doesn't continue to get flooded and saturated. That is the goal. Now, the goal for this YouTube channel is to share our knowledge and experience and what we have seen firsthand out in the field. You guys have seen, I'm out in these storms, I'm out in these rain events. I'm watching and seeing what happens with these systems and with other systems that our competitors build. I watch those as well. Now, granted, I'm not filming those. I'm not going to put those guys on blast, but I am watching them because I want to see what happens with different systems and different techniques and methods and pipe choices and sizes and everything else that gets put in the ground around here. I am genuinely curious and I want to know for myself. Now, all the old timers, the old drainage guys that I've talked to, whenever I ask them, hey, do you think we should go smaller than 4-inch pipe for main lines on our downspouts and different parts in our systems, they always look at me like I'm crazy and they laugh in my face and they're like, man, you've lived here your whole life. You know the storms that we get. You know the amount of water. Why would you want to go lower than 4-inch? 4-inch a lot of times doesn't even handle it and we have to bump it to a 6-inch main. That's why I'm always running 6-inch main. Even if it's a guy that's always putting in corrugated, he's running 6-inch corrugated mains constantly. And those systems are still functioning. I actually have one on here that I can link in the description below to a 6-inch corrugated main ADS pipe that has been in the ground for a little over 17 years now, and it's still flowing water and it's still clean on the inside. So I don't want to hear this stuff about pipe size anymore when it comes to Florida. Unless you're in Florida and you're building systems and dealing with callbacks here in Florida, it's better to go big here. So I hope you enjoyed this video. As you can see, I just have the hose running in this system just to test the flow to make sure everything is flowing nicely. Obviously, we check everything with a level before we bury it up, and we make sure that that pipe is pitched properly so that that water flows nicely through there. We have our downspouts tied directly into our catch basins here. We like doing this because it adds a extra clean out point for the downspout itself. Now these super downspouts, there are no good leaf filters on the market for them. So we like to always tie them into a basin. That way it is easy to clean it out. Granted, if the gutter has leaf guards at the top, then you really don't need the leaf filters on them because the leaves aren't even going to get into the gutter trough to begin with to go down the downpipe. So a lot of times on these larger downspouts and gutters, the gutter guys are putting the leaf guards on the top, at least here in Florida. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give us a thumbs up. It really supports us. It supports the channel. It helps out what we do. If you are interested in drainage, then you have come to the right channel. Check out our other videos and subscribe for more content. If you need drainage in the Tampa Bay area, whether it's PVC pipe, corrugated pipe, dual wall pipe, triple wall pipe, we'll install it all. Give us a call at 813-614-3456. We can build catch basin systems, downspout drains, French drains, channel drains. If it's stormwater drainage, we got you covered. Give us a call. And until next time, this is Stormwater Drainage Solutions signing off.